Daniel 1 and verse 8. And it reads, "But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself." Can somebody just type it over in the chat section? It's in your heart. It's in your heart. And Daniel 1 and 8, it reads, "But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself." I'm going to read Daniel 1 and 8 again, but I want you to understand it's got to be in your heart. It's got to be in your heart. Daniel 1 and 8. "But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself." And if you would allow me to use for a subject message on today, I would like to use the subject message of private matters. Private matters. Private matters. And when we were growing up, you did not act one way at home and another way in public. My brothers and my sisters who grew up in the same house with me, they could tell you that as growing up in the Benjamin household, and if Elsie and Al Jr. was your parents, then it was understood for your life existence. We understood that life existence, the importance of life existence, in order for us to remain amongst the living, that we did not use any setting, especially a public setting. Can I get my brother and my sister who are with us to confirm what their sister is saying is true? If you wanted to be amongst the land of the living, you knew not to use any setting to attempt anything that would upset your parents. No, you did not take that time to have a temper tantrum. You did not take that time to fall out in the floor and start kicking. I see my brother waving his hand. I believe my sister is here somewhere and she can attest to that. That again, if you wanted to remain in the land of the living, those were things that you did not do. It was very imperative to your life existence that when you got out in public, you definitely, as they say, you didn't cut the fool. Come on here. You didn't do that. And if you did, they always said wherever you danced at, that's where I was going to play the music. Come on here. It was always understood that there was just certain things that you did not do. So therefore, my siblings and I, we were very structured to know that even when we were out in public, just as well as we were at home, we walked a chalk line. We walked and we walked very softly. It was always yes ma'am and no ma'am, yes sir and no sir. And it was just things that you just didn't do. You just didn't do. And so we got accustomed to the mindset of the way that we act at home was the way that we acted in public. Come on, does anybody know what I'm talking about? It was so ingrained into you that you knew that the public was not a place that you wanted to try something new. Come on here. You know how sometimes you see these kids now and they wait until they get in public to do certain things. And, the parents, they use a lot more restraint than what my parents had. Because wherever you did it at, that's where it was going to happen at. Come on. Do I have any old school people that knew that's just how it went down? If you did it there, I was going to address it there. No, it wasn't no wait till you get home and we going to deal with this. It wasn't even wait till you get out in the car. If you did it in the stove, y'all know I'm country. If you did it in the stove, then they did it in the stove. If you did it while walking in the store, they did it while walking in the stove. If you did it as you was getting out the car. They did it as you was getting out the car. So it was like, an apple for an apple and an eye for an eye. So wherever you did it at, that's where they responded. And you probably would not like the way that they would respond. As a child, I spent a lot of my summers with my cousins in this little town. And Jules and Mr. Al is going to love this part of it. I spent a lot of my time in this little city, in this little town, not even a city, this little town called Beulahville, North Carolina. That's where I would spend most of my summers at when I was growing up. And this particular summer, it was when biker shorts, y'all remember biker shorts when they first came out? Um, I was a little girl, and it was the summer that biker shorts had just came out, and I wanted to wear some. It was a new thing, and I wanted to wear some. And my parents had certain beliefs and certain rules that we had to follow. And my father, that summer, I showed them the biker shorts, and I showed them to my daddy, and my daddy just basically said, he said, no, you can't wear them. He thought they were too revealing. He thought they were inappropriate for little girls. So he said no. Um, I really don't remember, I don't remember how I got them, but this particular summer when my dad, or this particular weekend that my dad would drop me off to my aunt's house in Beulahville, I don't remember how I ended up with a pair of the biker shorts. I think somebody set me up. Come on here, somebody set me up. I don't even remember how I got them. All I know is that I had them, and they were black, and I was going to wear them. My daddy told me I couldn't wear them, but when my dad dropped me off at my cousin's house, I knew that was going to be the perfect opportunity for me to put them on and go outside and play. Because, when we was outside playing, you know how it was when, in the old school neighborhoods, it was a lot of people out, and we would go, in this one setting. That's where everybody would be at playing. And so I was going to make sure that I put those shorts on for whatever reason, which was probably not a good reason, but I was going to put those shorts on. I was going to wear those shorts. And so when I put them on, I just ran free, and I just remember playing in them, and, they just felt so good. But how many of you know that my daddy showed up? My daddy showed up at my aunt's house, and I got one of the worstest whoopings of my life outside under the tree. I remember it to this day. I got that whooping. And I just want to tell somebody, what you plot in private may be the very thing that causes your public embarrassment. Because even though you saw me, or I had the shorts on, I knew my daddy told me no, but I had already plotted in my mind and when I was going to wear them. So it wasn't that I just got the Beulahville and put the shorts on. I had plotted it when I was back in Wallace, so that I was going to wear them. I was just waiting for my daddy, and I took them and I stuffed them in my bag. Again, I can't even tell you. The devil will trick you, because I can't even tell you where I got the shorts from. All I know is that my daddy said I couldn't wear them. Somebody set me up. But nevertheless, I fell into the plot of that I was going to wear them, and I plotted when I was going to wear them. And after I got that whooping, I wish I would have never seen anything about the biker shorts. And no, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I don't know where I got them from, but all I know is that your what you plot in private will cause your public embarrassment. And my cousin will still call me over 30 years later, and she asks me, she'd be like, do you remember when your daddy got you for wearing them biker shorts? And she will bust out and start laughing. And still to this day, I don't even like when she really calls me and reminds me of that, because she probably was the one that gave me the shorts. She probably was the one that gave me the shorts. And so I don't know, but I was really struggling with that. And, to this day, when she calls me, I still be like, did you give me them shorts? And so again, what we plot in private will cause, or can cause, our public embarrassment. And as we get into, I said that for a purpose, and we're going to go somewhere and come back to that. But I did a poll, and I asked over 20 people. I asked them, I said, when you think of Daniel, in the Bible, what is Daniel most known for? And over 98% of the people, they responded and they said yes. If I still look, I still see the responses popping up and that have popped up. They said that Daniel, over 98% of the people said, when the poll was done, it says that Daniel was known for the lion's den. The lion's den. And that is the message that we have heard and so many years, and it was like this big public stage that Daniel was on. And you've heard so many preachers preach about Daniel being in the lion's den, and it has become a title that is easy to remember. And sometimes we don't even associate Daniel with the other things. But again, our subject message today is about private matters, because how many of you know that before you get to the big stage, there are some things that happens privately? Oh my God. And Daniel is most remembered. That's why I told you, you got to be careful at what you plot in private, because it will cause your public embarrassment. But here we have Daniel, and Daniel had some things that he did in private. Not like me, I was plotting in private. Ooh, but Daniel was practicing in private. Oh, did somebody just catch that? And when I use the word practice, I want you to think about a lifestyle. I want you to associate practice with a lifestyle. And that's what Daniel did. Daniel had some things that he practiced in private. And this is why you got to be careful at what you entertain in private, because it will be made public. Come on here. Did somebody just catch that? This is why I also made the statement that you have to manage, and you have to be careful at what you plot in private. Sometimes you don't even have to wait for a person to tell you what they've been doing in their spare time. Oh my God. I want to tell somebody something. This is why you ain't got to check their phones. Woo. This is why you ain't got to be wondering who they talking to. All you got to do is just wait, because whatever they are doing in private that you think that you don't know about, all you got to do is give it a little bit of time and it's going to come out, because everything that they plotting in private, it's going to be made public. I don't care how I don't care how God got to do it, but trust me when I tell you, everything that they are plotting in private, it's going to be made public at some point in time. All you got to do is wait. And I'm going to ask Aretta to type over what my acronym for time is. Anybody that knows what my acronym for time is? I have this thing that I use to help people understand time, because sometimes we don't like to wait. We don't like when we're having to wait on stuff, because it seems like it's taking too much time. And Aretta has just typed it. Time tells important missing events. And that's all you got to do sometimes, is give it some time. And sometimes, all the time will tell you everything that they wouldn't tell you. The things that they were doing in private, time will bring those things out. And nevertheless, as we get to Daniel, and again, we often think about Daniel being in the lion's den. That's the most familiar thing that we think about. But Daniel, that was in a public setting. But Daniel, as we read in Daniel 1:8, Daniel had some things that he did in private. Oh God, I hope somebody caught that. Daniel had some things, and some good things that he did in private, when wasn't nobody looking. Ooh. Before social media, Daniel still had some things that he did in private. Daniel would not do well in this climate that we live in, because most of us now cannot even have private worship moments with God, because we got to make sure that our camera is rolling so we can do our 3-minute reel about how important God is to us. But I want to let you know, your most private moments, your most impactful moments are not the ones that you take time to record. Ooh. Oh my God. Something is, I'm not going to say something is off, but me personally, I'm just not with setting my camera up in my room to watch me as I worship, because my mind is going to be more centered on the camera And am I doing it just right? But when I don't have the cameras on and I'm in my private moment with God, I can take everything off and be whoever God needs for me to be. Hair on, hair off, hair whatever it is. It can just be me and him. No makeup, no eyelashes, as my brother likes to call them, no street sweepers. I don't have to have any of that on. It can just be me and God. I have this thing that I wear on my head, and my husband calls that my baker's hat, because every now and then it'll flop to one side, and where it's just so big and bulky, it'll flop to one side. But Daniel had this thing that he practiced. And if we look at our text, and it says, but Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. Daniel, let me give you a little bit of background about Daniel before we even get to the lion's den, because we're going to the lion's den. But let me tell you some things pre-lion den. Daniel was taken from his country. Daniel was taken from his land. Daniel was a stranger in a strange place. And basically what had happened is that they were taken hostage, and Daniel, and he had 3 companions with him, and they were all taken. It was Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. And most of us don't even know them by those names. We know them as the names of Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. But their real names are Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Those names that we know them by was the names that worshiped the God of the land that they were taken captive to. But nevertheless, what had happened was they would have to go into preparation for 3 years. The king had set, people over them and officials over them that would have to train them for 3 years. And for 3 years, they were supposed to be trained, and they were supposed to be learned, and they were supposed to eat from the king's table or the king's meat. So whatever the king would eat, they would eat. And so that it was just not, one of those quick meals, because anytime the king was eating something, you can best believe that the king was eating and drinking the best. And so therefore, Daniel had purpose. That's why I said we had to read that Daniel had purpose in his heart. It was in Daniel's heart. Even though Daniel, how many of us know that every opportunity, every chance, let me tell you this, every situation is not an opportunity. I'll put it like that. Every situation is not an opportunity. And Daniel is now in this situation, and Daniel now has this opportunity. I don't even want to say this opportunity. Daniel has this offer before him. Daniel is having the experience of being able to, or the offer to be able to taste things that he's never been able to taste before. Daniel is having the offer to be able to drink things that he's never been able to drink before, probably could never even afford them. But now that he has been chosen to serve the king in this capacity, Daniel has this offer before him. How many of you know every offer is not one that you should accept? Ooh. Again, every offer is not an opportunity. And they are offering Daniel this drink and this food. But because it was in Daniel's heart, I just need for somebody to type it over in the chat section. It's in my heart. It's in my heart. No matter how good it may feel to me, no matter how much I may like it, no matter how much it may make me feel good, and it might, put me in a different type of social class, every offer is not an opportunity, because there's some things that I've just made up in my mind that I am not going to do because I don't want to defile God. Ooh, it's in my heart. There's some things I just can't say. There's some people I just can't chill with, because I don't want anything to defile my heart. I don't want anything that's going to counter. I don't want anything that's going to contend with who I need God to be in my life. So Daniel rejected. Daniel rejected the offer. This is the thing that we sometimes struggle with. We got to know what's an offer and what's an opportunity. Woo. Oh my God. Because sometimes we struggle with that because we don't know the difference. Just because it puts you in a position that you get to experience something new does not mean that it is an opportunity. It's just an offer. But if you know what's in your heart, then you will be able, if God is really in your heart, you will be able to tell the difference between an offer and an opportunity. Because anytime you have an opportunity is a situation of advancement. That means you're going to prosper in it. That means it's going to benefit you. But when you have an offer, it can be, watch this, an offer can be good to you, but not good for you. Oh my God. An offer can be good to you, but not be good for you. But an opportunity will advance you. It will prosper you. And sometimes because we don't know the difference between an offer and an opportunity, we start to think that it's God. Daniel could have easily said, this is God giving me something that I've never had before. But Daniel knew because it was in his heart. And Daniel said, I'm not going to take this. Now, Daniel is in a setting where nobody would really know what he did. But Daniel was not as consumed about what people knew, more so than about what God knew. Oh my God, did somebody just catch that? Because sometimes we are more concerned about what people know about us, more so than we are what God knows about us. So therefore, it's easy for us to develop a lifestyle where we are tricking. We're this way in this setting, but we're another way in another setting. In front of people, I'm this way. But in my private setting, I'm nasty. I got things coming out of my mouth that shouldn't even be coming out of my mouth. I'm watching stuff that I shouldn't even be watching. I'm entertaining stuff that I should not even be entertaining. I'm doing things that I really shouldn't be doing. But it's got to be in your heart. And Daniel was more concerned about what God, oh my God. I just want you to think about that for a minute, because sometimes we get off track because we're more concerned about what people think about us, more so than we are what God knows about us. But I want to ask you this question right here in this setting. When your back was up against the wall and you were in situations that seemed impossible, Just drop it over in the chat section. Who did you call? Did you call the people or did you call your provider? Did you call God? Did you post that video? Because how many of us know that sometimes when we see people on their social media page, what we see ain't really who they are. That's who they want you to think that they are. Who did you call? When your body was hurting. When you lost your loved one and the pain was so excruciating that you didn't know how you was going to make it. When your heart was broken. When you couldn't see your way out. When you didn't know how you was going to make ends meet. From one, watch this, not from 1 week to the next week, but not from 1 month to the next month, but from one day to the next day. When you didn't know where your next meal was coming from. How many of you called? Yeah, come on here. There it go. You see the man of God said, I called Jesus all day. He didn't say I called folks. And sometimes if we're not careful, we're trying to make sure that we convince people who we are instead of proving to God that we are who he says we are. Whew. And Daniel is having these private moments. And another one of Daniel's private moments, you can find it in Daniel 2, around verse 17. Nebuchadnezzar has had this dream, and I'm giving you a backstory because oftentimes we like to think about Daniel and we immediately associate Daniel with the lion's den because that's the epiphany moment. That's the moment that was impossible. But how many of you know that Daniel had some impossible private moments? Because if I just be honest with you, Daniel was supposed to be killed. Oh my God. Daniel was supposed to be killed for not even taking the food and the drink. Because anytime you reject the king's offer, the result was death. Because now what that means is that you have embarrassed the king. Do you know some people will, watch this, try to kill you when you don't take them up on their offer? But if it's in your heart, how many of you know that God will protect you against the people that plot to kill you because of what's in your heart, because of your private practices? I'm talking to somebody. What you've been doing in private, that's going to be the very thing that sets you up for God to protect you when you reject their offer. That's going to be the very thing that sustains you when you reject their offer. Now here Daniel is, he's in front of King Nebuchadnezzar, and the king is mad because some of the people that he had brought before him, some of the people that were supposed to be have this power to interpret dreams and things like that, they cannot even tell King Nebuchadnezzar what his dream was. So he sent out this decree and he said, kill everybody. That even meant Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. I'm intentionally not calling them by the other names that we know them by. I'm calling them by their God names. And they were all supposed to be killed. And Daniel said, why is this? We're in Daniel 2 now. He said, why is this decree going out? What's going on now? He said, what's going on that the king has said to kill everybody? And so the servant tells Daniel, he said, the king is mad because nobody can interpret his dream. But again, what you do in private will set you up for your public promotion. Oh my God. We thinking that we got to perform in public first. Oh my God. I came to tell somebody that your first performance needs to be in private. The things that you do when ain't nobody watching you. The things that you doing when ain't no camera on. The things that you doing that you not even posting or recording about. Those are the things that matters the most. Because now we have Daniel, and Daniel is now, he's saying, wait. He said, tell him to stop it. He said, tell him to stop it. He said, tell him to stop it. He said, tell him just to hold up for 1 minute. Because Daniel said, I got this thing that I do in private. I got this thing that I do in private. I got some private matters that I do. It's my lifestyle that I do. And if you just give me time to go practice what I do in private. And remember what Pastor Fran said, when you hear me say the word practice, I want you to think about a lifestyle. Daniel basically said, let me go live my life. Let me go do what I do to bring it short. Daniel said, I got some stuff that I usually do. And if you let me go do what I do, I promise you, we gonna all come out of this. Oh my God. I came to tell somebody that's why it's important what you do in private. Because do you not know what you do in private has the potential to bring your family out? What you do in private has the potential to bring your neighborhood out. What you do in private has the potential to heal the land. What you do in private, your private matters matter. Oh my God, did somebody just catch that? Your private matters matter. What you've been doing in private, what you do in private. And Daniel said, if you just let me go do what I do, I promise you we're going to all come out of this. And as we are in Daniel 2, then it says, watch this, Daniel 2 and 17, it says, and Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions. That's why you need people that can pray with you. Come on here. You need somebody that can stand in agreement with you. You need somebody who gonna get down and dirty with you. Oh my God. It just didn't say Daniel did it, but it says Daniel had some people that was going to pray him through, that was going to pray with him. They was going to be in agreement. And it tells what they prayed. And it says that they would desire mercies of the God of heaven concerning this secret, that Daniel and his fellows shall not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. But I got to read verse 19 to you because Daniel had something that he did in private. Whew, that saved. Oh my God. It saved the whole company of prophets. It just didn't save the prophets. It just didn't save Daniel's prayer partners. It even saved people that Daniel didn't even like. You don't even know the potential and the power of your private matters. And it said when Daniel did what he does in private, verse 19 said, then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision. But watch this. Because Daniel was so used to his private life. It says, then Daniel blessed the God of heavens. Daniel just didn't take what God gave him and run off and said, now take me before the king. Daniel said, let me keep doing what I'm doing. Daniel said, let me bless God. Let me tell God, thank you. In private. Let me give God what's due to him in private. Because anytime you make it a lifestyle of giving God what's due to him in private, when nobody is looking, when can't nobody see you, when there's nobody, as Miss Tony can oftentimes tell me, when there's nobody to give you attaboys, when there's nobody to tell you that you did good, when there's nobody to tell you that, oh my God, God bless you. And you know, all of this other stuff and all of the other accolades that we sometimes feel like we need, when there is nobody to give you those things, but you can still find it necessary to give God what's due to him, it's going to be much more easier for you to do it in public. Ooh. It's going to be much more easier for you to do it in public. I told you before, what you plot in private can also cause your public embarrassment. Because I told you the story about my biker shorts. I plotted that in my mind before I did it in public. And my daddy got me. Do you not know some of the things that you're going to see in your life are going to be a result of what you've been doing in private? Ooh, oh my God. This is why your private matters matter. Do you remember what God told us when he said, if you just do it for 30 days, what he was going to do? He was building us up to create a lifestyle of private matters. And I kept getting messages throughout that about how you feel and what God was doing in you and how your life was just being so different and so transformed because of what you was doing in private. I don't remember not one person getting up here or even telling and broadcasting that you was doing it. I've been doing this for 30 days. You was just enjoying the benefits of what you was doing in private. And Daniel gets before the king. And the king asks Daniel, he said, can you tell me what my dream was? He said, because if you can tell me what my dream was, I know you're going to be able to interpret it. And Daniel told the king, I want y'all to hear what Daniel told the king. And you find this in Daniel 2:27. It says, Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, the secret which the king has demanded Cannot the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, the soothsayers show unto the king? Daniel was being a little sarcastic on the sly. Daniel said, out of all them people that you got in your kingdom, could none of them do it? How many of you know that what you've been doing in private, God is creating a situation that is going to set the stage that you get to showcase your God? But watch this. Look at what Daniel said. Daniel said, out of all them people, and I came to tell somebody, that's why all those people, some of those people in your circle, out of all the people that's in your circle, that's why some of them couldn't do it. Out of all the people in their circle, have you ever wondered, out of all the people, why they have to call me? Has anybody ever wondered that? Out of all the people that they know, out of all the people that they chill with, they hang out with, why they have to call me? Because watch this. You said it. You already answered your own question. You said because it's in your heart. Your private matters are being put center stage. Woo. Your private matters are being called to be showcased. What you do in private, they don't nobody know about. That's why they had to call you. Because watch this. Daniel said, out of all of those people, he said the soothsayers, the magicians, the astrologers, the wise men, he said, none of them couldn't do it. But watch what Daniel said was. Daniel said, but there is a God in heaven that revealeth secrets and maketh known to the king, to King Nebuchadnezzar, what shall be in the latter days. So basically what Daniel said was, Daniel said, wait, Daniel, and previously before that, Daniel told the king, Daniel said, I'm here. He said, I'm here. He said, but what I'm about to tell you, it didn't come from me. Daniel said, God is using me, but I cannot take the credit for what God is using me to do. Oh my God. That's because it was in his heart. And some of the problems that we have with people now is that, yes, God is using them, but they're also taking the credit for it. But Daniel said, no, Daniel said, I understand that God is using me, but I cannot take the credit for what God is about to tell you through me. When God uses you, you be grateful that he used you. Just make sure you don't take the credit for what he used you to do. Who? Huh? That's a word for everybody. First, me. When God uses you, when God uses me, make sure that we are so disciplined in our lifestyle, in our private matters, that we don't even take the credit for what he used us to do. It actually should make us more humble that he used us, because we're not even in a position that we should be used, but because of his grace and mercy, he chooses to let us partner with him. He chooses to use imperfect things to manifest his perfected word. And Daniel said, it's God. It's God. You might be like, okay, Pastor Friend, you're telling me all this stuff that Daniel did in private. And so what does all of that have to do with him being in the lion's den? Because it was the things that Daniel did in private. Oh my God. That gave him the courage to continue what he was doing. Because you see, if you know the story of how Daniel ended up in the lion's den. Oh God. Daniel ended up in the lion's den because of what he did in private. Oh my God. And some of you been thinking that it's the devil. Some of you been thinking that you did something wrong. Some of you are in the lion's den and have been in the lion's den all because of what you've been doing in private. Woo. You've been worshiping. You've been telling God how good he is. You've been telling God how much you love him. You've been living a life that's set apart. You have chosen not to defile yourself with certain things. And you've been living a lifestyle that's pleasing to God. And you've been thinking that it was going to put you on a bed of roses. It was going to put you on easy street. But how many of you know that what you've been doing in private is some of the reason that you've been put in the lion's den? Because God said, I can trust them in the lion's den. I can trust them that they still gonna do what they have been practicing in their private matters. They still gonna tell me thank you. Your lion's den is only your place of promotion because of what you've been doing in private. Ooh, oh my God. Yes, I know you're in an impossible situation, but keep doing it. I know it. Look, you think that the lions are going to open their mouth, but this is why you've not been consumed by what you've been going through. It's because of what you've been doing in private. I've been living a lifestyle that's holy and acceptable unto God. This is why I'm not consumed, Loretta. This is why the lions won't eat me. This is why this impossible situation will not devour me, because of my private matters. Because I've been serving God not just in public, but I've been serving God in private. Oh my God. I felt like I was going to die in the lion's den. I just knew that the lions were going to eat me up in the lion's den. I just knew that there was no way out. But because of what I've been doing in my private matters, because I've been serving God when couldn't nobody see me. I've been serving God when didn't nobody know me. I've been giving God what's due to him when the lights wasn't on, when this platform wasn't on. I've been giving God what's due to him. I've been telling him thank you. I've been fasting, I've been praying, and I've been restraining from some things that was going to cause me to be defiled. And watch this, now that I'm in the lion's den and I'm looking at the lion, because I need for somebody to look at that lion because of what you've been doing in your private matter. You need to look at your line and still tell your God thank you. Can anybody do that? You look at your bills and still tell God thank you, because I know that it's not going to consume me. I can look at the hurt, the heartache, the pain, the frustration, and the disappointment and tell God thank you, because I know it won't consume me, because the same God that kept me when I should have been dead because I wouldn't take the offer that the king offered me, because I wanted the opportunity of God. Sometimes you got to decline the offer of the king and accept the opportunity of God. Woo. Thank you, God. Thank you. I'm looking at this lion. I'm looking at this impossible situation. I don't even know how we're going to make it out, but God, thank you. I don't know when I'm coming out, but God, I thank you. God, I praise you. I'm going to still do what I've been doing in private. Whew. Is there anybody that says I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, what I've been doing in private? I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing in private. I'm looking at the lion, Aretta. I'm looking at their jaws, T. I'm looking at their claws, Irvin. And I'm still telling God, thank you. I'm still committed to living a life that's holy and acceptable and set apart for his glory, because I know what he can do. I know what he gonna do. While you look at your lion, Sean, do what you've been doing in private. While you looking at their claws, Jules and Mr. Al, do what you've been doing in private. And you watch your God, shut their mouths. He'll take their appetite. Come on here. He'll get into their digestive system to where they're not even hungry right now. He will cause them to be sleepy. Huh? All because, do you not know that what you've been doing in private can cause your lions to fall asleep? It can cause your lions not to be hungry. This is why your private matters matter. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. God, I'm still going to live holy. I'm still going to live righteous. I'm still going to read your word. I'm still going to study your word because I understand the importance of my private matters now. Look at your lion, Bridget, and do what you do best. You worship. You worship. Lord, I worship you because of who you are. Because of who you are, I thank you. You're my provider. You're my healer. Do what you've been doing in private. Even in the lion's den, Daniel didn't stop. But I came to tell somebody. I came to encourage somebody that because of what you've been doing in private, that's why you went to the lion's den. But watch this. Daniel just didn't go to the lion's den. Because sometimes we get caught up, we get messed up because we had to go to the lion's den. And it looks like there's no way out. But you got to take that as another opportunity to do your private matters. Oh God. Huh? Has your lion's den stopped you from doing what you usually do in private? Has your lion's den stopped you from telling God thank you? Has your lion's den stopped you? Because I came to tell you, it didn't stop God. Your worship tranquilizes your lions. This is why you got to continue what you've been doing in private. And because Daniel continued to do that, he continued in his private matter. If you keep reading, he came out. Not only did he come out, he came out for promotion. Your lion's den, the thing that you thought was impossible, the thing that you thought you couldn't do, the thing that you thought that wasn't going to ever happen, the thing that you thought that was going to consume you, was just the stage and the platform that God was setting you up for your promotion.